So, I had an argument with my sister because she, for no reason, when the police, FBI, the FBI are not supposed to send the police out to talk to you, but they did, and I don't understand why that happened, but I assumed it has something to do with the contract I'm under. Anyways, my sister went out there and talked to them, and then they basically said like I was schizophrenic. And then they tried to accuse me of having DID, which I don't have either of those disorders. I have psychosis from the trauma I went through. Hence these videos. It's called processing. Something these retards at the church can't do. It's another skill they don't have with all their superiorness. Another thing I can do they can't. But I'm going to roll this back a bit, because the emotionally stunted. I have a thing about narrative spinning, which is basically just taking information and rerouting it in a way that's bullshit. It's lying. It's a complex way to lie. That is what it is. It is lying. So, when I turned myself in, they basically accused me of being crazy, which that's not legal, by the way. And then they asked me if I did drugs. I don't do drugs, and I thought that was a bizarre question, but that makes sense. I took public safety, so I know what officers are supposed to ask you of, and what they can and can't accuse you of. Okay. Trust me, if more people took like a class like that, the police officers would be out on their asses really quick, because you'd find out how full of shit they are. So, here's my theory. Blondie is scared that I was going to turn myself in and the church was going to lose his tax exempt status. And you need to remember, he can't get women on his own. He has to get them under contract or under the threat of death by the church. Because emotionally stunted people can't connect with a woman in a meaningful way. They can't. Everything's a signal. It's all pretend. It's all bravado. It's all being fake. Because they are fake. So, this clown, I think he made this deal, and this was the thing with Anal Eating Mummy God. When he found out Blondie lied to get me to sign the perjury initially, he got really upset and he called me about it. He did this weird thing where he talked to me, and obviously I was retarded from heavy metal, so I didn't know what I was talking about or doing, but whatever. That's what happens when you gotta pretend to be superior. You gotta make everybody else stupid and lesser than you so that you can pretend to be superior, and it is pretending. If you're lowering everybody, you're not actually superior. And during that thing, I mentioned that Blondie had lied because he told me the initial paper I was signing, the first paper, was supposed to be for the $4,000 to get chelation therapy, but it wasn't. Which is why that perjury I signed has a double staple in the corner. Yeah, I only signed the first page. I actually didn't sign the rest of the damn thing, technically. And that can be a legal defense. And I remember Anal Eating Mummy God getting really upset about that, and Blondie trying to explain that he merely failed to tell the truth. He didn't lie, he just didn't tell the truth. And I was just, this stupid shit where everything's black and white with you people, but then when you fuck up, it's a gray area. You fucked up. And I would argue in the church, you'd just be like, you fucked up. And there wouldn't be a conversation. It would just be, and eventually you would be just labeled the fuck up. You would be called the fuck up. You are a fuck up. And I would label Blondie the fuck up. Like, because he lies. And here's my theory. I think the narrative Blondie spun was everything is my fault. They're the sweet innocent babies, which is the lie. They're not. They're violent, stupid people that go around murdering people and ruining everybody's life because they have to ruin people's lives to make sure the ultra rich stay the ultra rich so they can human traffic and do pedophilia. Like, I think that he told them that I'm a drug addict, which the police know I'm not a drug addict because I don't have a history of that anywhere in my fucking criminal history. I don't even have a criminal history. And they asked my sister if I did drugs, and she told them I didn't do drugs. They asked my brother, and he told them I don't do drugs. I don't do drugs, Blondie. So, I think Eli told them that I'm a drug addict that was raping babies. And I think that's the lie he told to the FBI, and I think that's why they were asking me that. And I'm willing to bet 100% that is exactly what he did. I'm not 100% exactly what you do in this situation, personally. I was like, do I just call the FBI and be like, hey, this guy called and lied to you about me? Like, is that a thing? Can you do that? How would the FBI handle that information exactly, knowing that somebody else fucking lied? Like, did you lie? Like, oh no! Like, I don't know. I remember this bizarre call from Anal Eating Mummy God where he explained to me that the problem when the church, that they are the victims of the church, okay? And this was like, everybody was on this call, older, loser, murderer, baby, emotionally stunted, malignant narcissist, piece of shits, and they are malignant narcissist, piece of shits. Everybody was on this call explaining that whenever Gannon or Stu was like, we're the victims, and here's the thing, they don't feel guilt or remorse, so they're just murder machines, okay? They don't care about what they do. The closest thing they feel is shame. And shame is a very painful emotion. Anyways, he explained to me the problem is when I turned in the church, everybody was trying to murder me. And they were trying to murder me because I put the church leaders in prison. And the church has a whole bunch of rules, but one of the rules that is not covered in the church is you can bring down the entire church through an arbitrary, religious, stupid loophole. There are these Jews that have a bunch of moronic devices designed so that they can work around their own book, so they can have these devices they can't normally have. And he basically explains to me that the church is doing the same thing with this. That I need to find a way to take down the church without putting any of the assholes in prison. Putting Blondie in prison is against the rules. Putting every member of the church is against... What the fuck are these goddamn rules, and why the fuck can't I hold you bastards to account for anything you did? Okay, that's not justice. Whatever. And he basically ran down that they are the victims because they're born into this and they're trapped in it, and so they just trap as many people as they can in it, and they cause as much misery as they can because they're in it. So I was like, okay, President Man, launder some money from the church and then turn yourself in for it and then lose the church's tax. And he was like, no. I mean, I did have sex with this guy's mother. I now have PTSD flashbacks having sex with this really old lady. It's really gross. I don't recommend it. I don't know why I had sex with his mom, but you know what, tangent. Anyway, so that Blondie cooked up the perfect plan and he's gonna let me in on it. And then Blondie came to my work, and I remember this weird thing where he was like, you like doing drugs? And I was like, I don't like doing drugs. And he was like, you do like? I was like, I don't do drugs. And we got into a fight about the drugs. And I realize now what that idiot did was, Bobby's poor and stupid, so he likes doing drugs. He likes doing all the evil shit. And he did all these things because he's evil, and also we're innocent and we didn't do anything. And dude, I had a deja vu last night where I was getting stabbed to death in prison, and Blondie was telling this really fat girl that, oh, I died and the deal's off because I died in prison and I was supposed to survive prison. And then I found out, like, after I was dead, that he hired these guys to murder me in prison to make sure that he got the rich wife because he's that against, like, class, that he's willing to murder people over class. He doesn't care. I don't fucking get it. I don't fucking get it. I don't. So, I think, I don't even know if I still can turn myself in for this shit. Do I just call the FBI and tell them Blondie's right, even though he fucking lied? Like, trust Blondie, the sack of shit that poisoned me with heavy metals and did all the evil shit. Trust Blondie, the guy I had a deja vu about me getting killed in fucking prison so that he didn't have to give me the rich wife because he can't fucking handle it. He can't fucking handle losing because he's a fucking loser and his biggest fear is looking in the mirror and seeing who he actually is versus who he pretends to be. I can't imagine being that fucking insecure though, honestly, but he said himself, his money is his security. It's where it comes from. So there's that. And you need to remember, like, I wanted to do a brief thing on this. If you're one of these wives, like Witchy Poo, first thing you need to remember is they're not going to murder you, they need you. Okay, so that's your leverage. Second thing you need to remember is a malignant narcissist is a baby, so you need to baby them. They need to be babied. You are the mother. This is not a relationship of man and wife or husband and wife. It's not a relationship of husband and wife. It is a relationship of mother and child. And you are going, just like I was over-parentified as a kid and constantly forced to be the adult, you are going to be constantly forced to be an adult. But here's how you deal with the malignant narcissist. Play their egos. Tell them they're great, they're wonderful, or when they're misbehaving, tell them they're a loser and you'll never accept them, just like their dad didn't accept them. And they want that validation, and that validation is the only thing they care about. They're willing to murder to get that validation. And you now are in control of the relationship. If you manage to use these psychological parameters correctly, you'll have the malignant narcissist doing everything you want them to do. And potentially, if you're a really smart wife, you'll be able to get them to get themselves killed. Because they're really that dumb. Okay. Is there any side notes here? No. I'm not 100% to do in this position, and I, once again, have an overdeveloped sense of justice, and I don't see how me going to prison for the rest of my life and fucking these guys running out the back door, and I already know from their psychologies they're defective. They're not going to last in society without the church. They live in a playpen, okay? Without that playpen, they're gonna be forced to deal with a reality. And there's only two ways to do that. One, radical acceptance. You're in reality now, and there isn't anybody covering you. So if you act up, you get out of line, or you do something stupid, there isn't anybody gonna come rescue your dumb ass. Just my thoughts for now. I don't know why. I do know why. Malicious. I think Blondie lied to make it impossible. I remember him telling me he was going to put me in prison. And he was going to put me in prison before I could complete this task. And I think it's because he knew he fucked up. He lied, said that I like doing drugs. Once again, they don't do understanding. They do projection. He loves doing drugs is good when you're emotionally stunted because they make you feel good. So therefore, Bobby likes doing drugs. I don't like doing drugs. I don't. Never have, never will. And I think that's the truth about this entire fucking thing. Is I think Blondie realized he fucked up. And I think he was supposed to come into Papa John's and explain to me his plan, but he quickly realized that he tried to explain other things to me and I didn't fucking understand where he was going from. Because he kept doing this, there's this guy, and he's talking about me. And he just simply keeps saying things that I would never do. And then he keeps telling me, I would do those things. I would do those things. And I wouldn't. Ever. I don't know why you guys didn't just let me turn the church in for money laundering if you wanted the church gone. So I think the truth is you don't want the church gone. I think this is all a virtue signal where you're like, it's a fair game, but you already rigged everything, and then you're like, oh, he's gonna fail, and it's because he's a piece of shit. I done tried to turn myself in. I don't really know what else I can do. Okay?